Did you like the picture I chose for our brave warrior picture?
I did. When I had a look at her, first of all, I thought, oh God, she's got her what's out, but actually she hadn't. It was just I thought you'd given us a lady who was naked from the waist up, but that was just my. Then I put my glasses on.
I'm a feminist. I would never do such a thing.
No, I think people like Boadicea were bare-breasted and proud of it. Amazons, I think they were.
Yeah, all the Spartans obviously only had one, so because they cut one off.
Oh, don't.
So, anyway, I thought she was lovely. I like a bit of pre-Raphaelite myself.
It's a brand new day. Gotta take it on my way. Gotta take it on my way.
Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show.
It's a brand new day. Gotta take it on my way. Gotta take it on my way.
Morning, Judith.
Hello, Nicola. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Yes, I've had a really quite a rocking week work-wise. It's been lots of clients coming back who'd had their campaigns paused, and they've all come back in the same week, as was obviously always going to happen. But we've been heads down getting at it, and Sarah's coming up in leaps and bounds, so she's taking a lot of the heavy lifting off me on the Facebook ads front, which is awesome. What about you?
Well, two things actually. One is good, and I've got to take great care to make sure it doesn't sound like a moan. I'll do that one first. I've got my flat on the market, as you know, and we are just coming to the end of week one, by which time there will have been something like a dozen viewings, and that's marvellous. That's marvellous, of course, but I am finding it a small level of strain, having to be constantly clean, tidy, have the washing up done, wear clothes every day, no more work pajamas, not have for instance, finding a moment between viewings when I can get the ironing board out to iron the pillowcases so that I can change the sheets on the bed is impossible. I'm going to have to wait till Sunday when the estate agents don't work, because they're coming in twice a day, and you can't have, your old sheets on the clothes area, for instance.
Oh, I hear what you're saying. So it's hard to get things dry.
But it's hard to do anything. You've got to be constantly available for inspection, which I find. I promise I'm not moaning, because I want ostensibly I want to keep the energy up to sell the flat. But I'd omitted to anticipate yesterday afternoon I was talking to a client, and several of the operatives at the estate agents were emailing me, because I won't let them phone me, to try and organise visitations this afternoon. And this afternoon, unusually, because every other Friday is my Friday off, this afternoon I've got a podcast at 2:00 with that woman Isabella from New Media, whatever it is.
New Media,
and then and then I've got a live group at 4 till 5:30 with my clients. And I don't want interruptions during either of those. So that's an hour and a half, 2.5 hours on a Friday afternoon. And they wanted to bring droves of people round in separate appointments this afternoon. And they wouldn't take no for an answer. So I had to keep explaining why, during live recorded audio, you wouldn't want the doorbell going and estate agents and viewers tramping through. But anyway, there you go. So and that's the slightly negative thing. Now, marvellous triumph on the pay what you want front.
Pay what you want front. Go on then.
You know my pay what you want experiment.
Explain it to the listeners, because
Okay. All right. So there's a concept called pay what you want, which I've been experimenting with some time. And funnily enough, the first person to alert me to it was your sister Sarah, who shared quite a number of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, the story of a web designer in the States who had switched his entire business model over to, when I make you a website, pay what you want for it, which I know you feel is quite a scary thing, a brave and scary thing. Yes, I think it worked rather well. And on Monday, I was talking to a client who listens to the podcast, Angela, and I was telling her about one of the things that I like best about. We were comparing Udemy, Teachable, Gumroad, and I said one of the things I like best about Gumroad, and also a website called The Daily Om, is that you can pay what you want. And you remember we've discussed that before with your man who offered your Facebook course, I think.
Justin
You
Brooke.
paid.
Justin
Yeah,
Brooke,
there you go.
currently in
There you go.
Bali. Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously you can choose. You don't have to do pay what you want. But one of the things I do on my website, if people are booking a one-off and they've already had their free one, they can do it on a donation basis. And quite a lot of people come along. Actually, one client said, I don't want a free one, can I pay for it? And the pay what you want model slightly bamboozles people because they're slightly worried that they might insult me by the sum of money they choose to pay me, despite the fact that I've explained in the blog post and the page that goes along with the PayPal button that whatever they send me is lovely. Now, there are exceptions to that, which I'll come back to in a minute. So what I did was I put a spectrum. I said, typically, people pay me anything between £30 and £150. And until yesterday, the biggest donation I had received was £150.
Yeah.
But I did 54 minutes on Skype with a man the afternoon before last, and he paid £250.
Wow.
which is how I get this. This reminds me of the Olympians, which is how I always envisaged it would work. You know, when my ship comes in and I don't have to do this for a living anymore, I will still make myself available on that basis. I've always envisaged that I would be in St. Martin, and all the sort of wonderful people that come in on sailboats would say, oh, Judith does, you know, life consultations here on a donation basis. Let's nip round to her villa. And I would let them make a donation in cash. Well, rock and roll, 250 quid. That's marvellous, isn't it? So I've been back to the website.
I was going to say, I feel an edit coming on.
I've been back to the blog post, the page, and somewhere else, I can't remember where, and my spreadsheet, and put on it, you know, and people pay me anything between £30 and £250. But the point of this story is, earlier in the year, you have to be happy. I've explained this to you before.
Yeah.
You have to be absolutely flatline with whatever anybody pays you. And earlier in the year, a lady who is very hard up paid me a tenner. And I have to say, I felt quite low about that. I did the session,
Yeah.
and I knew she was hard up, and I think one day she will eventually find the money to become a client. But just like the conversation we were having off mic a few moments ago, she paid a tenner, but she also buggered me around with the appointment. I'm not allowed to say that. I mean, now I've gone profane, but she moved.
No, I don't
She
think
moved.
that's
No, okay. She had an appointment and she cancelled and she rescheduled it, and all for a tenner. So, so add 10 to 250 and divide it by 2, and you've got a nice mean average. Anyway, there you go. So I've beaten my own record on pay what you want, which is very exciting.
I think that's. Now, I'm a little bit confused. Do people choose to pay a sum before they've had the session or after?
Ideally. I don't really like it afterwards. You can come before, during, or afterwards. I don't really mind. I don't like it coming afterwards too late, because then I'm in the place of thinking, oh, do I need to remind them they haven't paid yet?
Yes. So, but having said that, they would, if they paid in the first flush of enthusiasm after the session when they're feeling really good, they're more likely to pay more, aren't they?
Well, the other thing I set up is, if you're a bit skint now, but you think there's more value in our session than you've paid for now, feel free to pop back later and top it up. And somebody once did that.
No, really?
Yeah.
I can't imagine that goes against all human nature, that does.
No, I don't think it does. It's because what I'm trying to do in the session is create value.
Yes.
And if all they can afford to pay is a donation of a tenner, but we've created value that they can go off and use and make money from, they should come back. In fact, there's a client I've got who I met in the money gym, who won a free competition and came here for a session with me, and has always struggled quite a lot with money, and historically never paid me a bean. But when she joined Profit Accumulator and started to make lots of money, she would tithe to me once a month 10% of her profits.
Oh, wow.
So that's exactly pay what you want. That's come back later when you've made some money from all the work we've done together and make a donation. And she made a recurring donation month after month after month.
I'm still tempted to try this for my Facebook ads course in the same way that Justin Brooke did it for his Facebook ads course, his agency masterclass, and his Twitter training. I'm still tempted to do it, because you can split test all you like, but you have to wait a decent amount of time to see which one wins. Whereas this is really, it's immediately split testing across a range of prices.
Well, I think the interesting thing about the 250 quid donation was the man was rolling in cash.
Mm.
Rolling in it.
Okay.
So it's easy to be generous when you've got plenty.
Yes.
It's harder to be generous when you're a bit skint. I think the typical donation is 35, 50, 60, 65, that sort of neck of the woods. Now, the other thing that I've done on this basis was my green juicing book, which I wrote in 2013. And the average donation there for an ebook of 9,000 words was £6, which is a lot more than, you know, what's his name, Ryan Dice would have persuaded me to sell it for on Kindle. He would have said put it up for £2.99 tops.
Yeah, and but having said that, you know, most books are between 8 and 12 quid now, so perhaps people are price
It
conditioned.
depends on the book, I think. It depends on this. This wasn't worth £8 to £12. Now, the lady I was talking to on Monday, Angela, she'd actually done something on the previous Friday, and it was a pilot, and they asked people, what would you pay for this? And typically the answer was more than they would have thought to charge. I think that's the point of it. It gives people the opportunity to be generous.
Yeah, yes, it does. Yes, I definitely did. With Justin Brooke, I definitely paid as much as I could afford at the time, knowing what value I was going to get, because I don't, you know, I knew he was a bloke who knew what he was doing.
I'll tell you what I think, and let me ask you a question about it. Let me say what I think first, then I realise there's a question I don't know the answer to. When you've created a digital product like my ebook that you sell on this basis, to me, once you've created a digital product, any incoming money feels like free money to me. So pay what you want on a digital product like an ebook or an e-course or something like that. I'm going to tell you another story in a minute. I've just remembered. It feels like free money, so it doesn't matter what people pay. Your Facebook ads course is a much bigger thing with a lot more work that went into it. And my question to you is, do you think you would devalue it if you offered it on a pay what you want basis and people could get it at all rates? I.e., would it be difficult for you to continue to sell it, let's say, on your own site for a fixed price?
Yeah, I think you have to do one or the other. You can't sell it on your own site. And basically, I don't sell it from the site. People opt into a series of useful emails that give them some good information that would be, you know, useful whether they buy the course or not. And then at the end of it, in fact, through the email series, they are offered the course and they go to a checkout page that's got a fixed price on it. So, I mean, it would be easy to change that, you know, redirect that page temporarily to a Gumroad, pay what you want.
Well, I don't know that I'd do that. I would keep doing that.
What do you mean?
And I would keep doing exactly what you described on your own domain.
Yeah.
And I would also offer it on Gumroad on a variable thing, because who would know? It's just like aeroplanes. We're all paying a different price for a seat, and who cares?
So what you're saying is that the Gumroad traffic would get to pay what it wants.
Yes.
And then my traffic that's been through the email training, would get to pay whatever I'm feeling like offering it for that week.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even think that the Gumroad traffic that anyone would buy it, because I think you have to market things for people to know about them. Does Gumroad impose it on their marketplace then?
Gumroad has that second alternative where they find you the audience. It costs 10% if you do it rather than 5% if you don't.
Oh, okay. Well, that's worth a try then, isn't it? Yeah, I'll try that out then. Yeah, okay. Nice. Yeah. Very useful. One thing about our week. Okay, let's see if I can be as useful with Hugh. Oh no, you were going to tell me a second story, weren't you?
No, that was it. The first one was having to be neat and clean and tidy for the estate agents. Sorry, and the second one was 250 quid for my pay what you want.
All right. So what's fueled my fire this week is several updates on various social medias. I've hit 500 followers on Instagram.
I saw that. Very good. Yeah.
Well, of course, it then immediately dropped back by 2 after I'd made that announcement. So I'm not sure where I am today. But in fact, we can have a look while I'm talking. But the thing about it is, it's organic. I haven't done anything. All I've done is post more regularly. 500. I'm back at 500 this morning. Post more regularly and hashtag my posts properly with, a good variety of up to 30 hashtags. And that really is literally, also Inga's putting up things like, Own It, past Own It episodes and things like that. They always get a lot of engagement. But I am getting a lot of engagement, and I have started putting up, if you scroll through, you'll see a dark grey square with the words "hot exclusive new leads," and if you click on that, there is the caption for that is to click the link on my profile to find out how to learn how to do your own Facebook ads and Instagram ads. In fact, 'cause obviously we're on an Instagram platform, so I'm starting to see if I can monetize my followers and my engagement, but I'm not doing anything underhand. But it's doubled. I was 250 about a month ago. And in a very difficult month, I've, several days have gone past sometimes without me putting anything on. So, I haven't actually been working hard at it, is what I'm saying. So, I've built those followers very quickly. And in fact, I started a new Instagram account yesterday for the new corporate thing, just to secure the name, really. And when you set up a new Instagram account, you have to put, the kind of, you have to follow a few accounts just to give them a feel of what the account's going to be about. And I have already started acquiring followers on that one, even though I actually haven't posted anything on it yet. So there's, so anyway, that's quite encouraging, the fact that you can go onto a brand new platform, and we're going to talk a bit more about social media later. The other thing is Facebook Live video streaming is getting bigger and bigger. They're getting very aggressive about going after the live video market in view of the fact that, what's Periscope and Instagram will now take a video of up to 60 seconds. So if you want to experiment with that, that'd be fun. But Facebook Live video is a real opportunity now. First of all, you could only stream on your profile. Go away, people ringing up. You could only stream on your profile. Now you can actually stream from within groups. So if you've got a group that's not very engaged, like I have, I've got a couple of groups that there's lots of people in them, but they're not really very engaged. It might be worth sending them a live video message and see if that gets things moving a bit. Or even perhaps once a week putting up a live video message and or lesson. And there is a hack for pages. So if anyone wants to opt into the thepodcast.com mailing list and say, and then email us once you've done that to say, I want the hack for pages, then you can do live video streaming from pages as well. And again, my Nicola Cairncross page, lots and lots and lots of likes and not much engagement. So I might try that when I'm feeling a little bit more like appearing on video.
Or you could do it in the Own It, the podcast page as an experiment, so we could all have a look at you doing it.
Yes. Okay. Yes, that would be good, wouldn't it? And the other thing that's fueled my fire is obviously our idea for our own Own It seminar, but we're going to talk about that after the show. So we'll
Very exciting.
not talk about that on the show this week.
Okay.
But stay tuned, listeners. We will reveal all soon. What's fueled your fire this week?
Well, I've been busy. I haven't honestly. I mean, normally Friday is my day off. This is our second recording this week, and we're doing it on a Friday. And only you could tempt me out of bed early on a Friday morning to have a chat to you. But let me just tell you what I've done this week. I have been a bit of a superwoman. Every Monday is my Club 100 day, and I do their weekly check-ins and a live call with them. I will have done by close of business today 3 of my Small Business Big Magic 90-minute group calls. I've done 2 webinars, and I hate webinars. I've done 7 one-to-one clients. I've done 3 podcasts, 2 with you and 1 with this Isabella this afternoon. I've done my newsletter and I've had a haircut. and I've had a dozen people tramping through the house looking at it.
While keeping it tidy and dish.
Exactly. Yeah. And to what extent does that fuel my fire? I quite like being busy. But when I'm not busy, I don't think I do. I'm grateful. But when I'm busy, the energy gets up in a good way.
It's very true, actually. Yeah. So, they say you always ask a busy person if you want something done, don't they?
Yeah, I like the feeling of being a bit of a giant killer.
A giant killer. Did you like the picture I chose for our brave warrior?
I did. When I had a look at her, first of all, I thought, oh God, she's got her, what's out. But actually, she hadn't. It was just. I thought you'd given us a lady who was naked from the waist up, but that was just my. Then I put my glasses on.
I'm a feminist. I would never do such a thing.
Well, sometimes. No, I think people like Boadicea were bare-breasted and proud of it. Amazons, I think they were.
Yeah, all the Spartans obviously only had one, so because they cut one off.
Oh, don't.
So, anyway, I thought she was lovely. I like a bit of pre-Raphaelite myself.
Yes, I thought she was gorgeous. Yes, in fact, we could have had the girl from Brave. You liked the film Brave, didn't you?
Oh yes, she was awesome. Yes, the red-headed girl in.
Well, I think isn't she called Merida, which is Sally Kirkman, the astrologer's daughter, is also called Merida or Merida. I'm not quite sure how you say it. But
Merida. Yes, Merida.
Yeah. There you go.
No, very good. I love picking the pictures. It's one of the things that I really enjoy every week.
Oh, bless. That's sweet, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I like it. I like the editing, and I like the picking the pictures. Those are the two things.
I've been helping clients enjoy happier lives for nearly 40 years, during which time I've enjoyed thousands of conversations with human beings in all their infinite variety. It makes a big difference to have someone with whom you can share things you might not have told another living soul, perhaps not even admitted to yourself. A confidant, an ally, a secret weapon. Now, I've created Big Talk so that I can help you create a wonderful life through a series of significant conversations. You talk and I give you a damn good listening to. Our calls will raise your vibration and clear out all that stands between you and what you want. Big Talk will reshape your life, your work, your business, your ideas and your money. We'll talk about anything and everything. Visit judithmorgan.com to find out more about Big Talk and prepare for your magical transformation.
So that's very good. Client challenge of the week then.
Well, you brought it. You brung it, haven't you?
I brung it, so I'll share it. Okay, so here's the thing, right? I've been social mediaing since God was a lad, in 2005, 2006. I was on Twitter the minute it opened. I was on Facebook the minute it opened. I love social media of all kinds. And it's just getting more and more important as people, are on mobile all the time and apps are the thing. So I've got this new spin-off of Clicks and Leads. Clicks and Leads is going to remain there. It's not going anywhere, but it's going to be very business to consumer orientated. And there is going to be a new business to business arm of it, which will be much more growny up pants in its look and feel. And I've had to obviously go and secure the social media profiles for the new business, new part of the business, new name. So because I don't want anyone else squatting on them and annoying me, passing themselves off as me. That's a really important thing to do. So go and secure your names, even if you don't tend to use them. So now I was setting up the website yesterday, and not me, obviously, I've got a techie, but I was
Nicola, breathe. You're going at double rate speed.
It's so interesting, isn't it? Sarah said something to me yesterday when I was talking to someone. She said, you just get faster and faster and faster.
Yeah, slow down. You're going a bit fast, and client challenge of the week this week is a bit of a short one, so slow down, darling.
Okay, all right. Revel in it. So I was setting up the website, not the actual techie bits, just the content. And I was keeping the content very simple. And then I came to the bit where my techie had put all my own social media profiles hooked up to the icons. And I thought to myself, I wonder if I should change those over. And then I thought, well, I don't really want to change them over to link to something that hasn't got any action going on it, because this is all about social media marketing. So I don't want to look like an idiot. So, you've got to practice what you preach, etc. So I thought I'll just leave it on nicolacairncross.com until the other ones have built up a bit. But then I thought, well, the other ones aren't going to build up a bit because I'm never going to do anything on them because, it's corporate and boring. Well, that's in my head. I associate corporate and boring. I'm sure I'll change my mind once I get into that world. But so what to do? Have two social media profiles that you attempt to do a little bit on to build one up, or just unashamedly? And what if you want to sell the business? So if you want to sell the business, I suppose the person buying the business would then assign someone in their company to build up. You need a social media manager working on it, really, don't you?
Well, actually, that's what occurred. Yeah, that occurred to me when I heard you talking. First of all, I thought I was going to say, actually, two things. Can I say a pre-answer first? I wrote down B2C and B2B while you were talking.
Yeah.
And I found myself thinking, I really hope this B2B thing takes off for Nicola, because it's going to take away all the problems associated with B2C.
Oh, all the things we talk about off air.
Yes, exactly. Now, let's go back to the question. My thing, I always teach my clients one woman, one website, because it's impossible. Well, running one website and all the social. So let's do judithmorgan.com, Judith Morgan on Twitter, Judith Morgan on Facebook, blogging, podcasting, whatever it is. Doing that as one woman, one business is a full-time job. And when to do it well, it's a full-time job. So what I would do if I were you is leave it exactly as it is, which is let it link to the busy Nicola Cairncross stuff, because actually they might as well hear your voice. However, I would probably pay a social media manager to do it for you at a very low level in the new corporate voice, which isn't so very different, but it means that so I wouldn't link it up, but I would have somebody, maybe you, I don't know, maybe at weekends you could spend an hour just populating it for the next week or something on a schedule, but I wouldn't let them be completely dormant from the reason you said, which is one day I might want to sell it.
Yeah, absolutely, because it would build the asset better if it had active social profile.
It would. However, I want to qualify that, because your assumption is that B2B is boring and corporate, and when it comes to social media, I don't think it is. I think that's the challenge for every corporate and smaller. So let's talk about, I mean, you know, we're in this little entrepreneurial sector at the beginning end, but there's what I like to call SMEs, so that small businesses actually are, my clients are all what they call micro businesses.
Yeah.
Small businesses start at something like 10 employees, medium-sized businesses have got 100 employees, and bigger, you know, enterprises have got thousands. You might not be all the way to the top end of that spectrum. You might be in companies that have got 100 plus employees, for instance, and you might end up training somebody on their staff or working with them. You know, I think it behoves a corporate and an SME to have a voice which is human, not mechanical, corporate-y, you know, cool. So it might be a good idea in talking to that, in being social media in your own name and voice, in addressing bigger companies as well. And there, if you look at something like, I know we've got so few examples, we always trot out the old ones, but if you look at something like Innocent Drinks, I bet they don't do it in a corporate-y way, and yet they are quite a big entity now. So yeah. I think the challenge for your corporate clients, which is so gorgeous, is humanizing their brand, isn't it? So you might as well be, you know, very human, not this concept that we've got to be corporate-y. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, totally. And when I think about the point of social media, which is to express yourself in a creative way, but also to speak directly to your ideal prospect.
Yes.
My ideal prospect in a corporate, as an SME, let's call them SMEs because they are going to be between 1 and 10 million.
Yeah.
Is going to be a marketing director or a marketing manager who's got overall responsibility for all of the marketing and who wants to outsource the social media and social media pay-per-click side of things. So I've got to be seen to be doing a good job, and I've got to keep that person in mind and think about their challenges, and that's helped clarify it for me a bit. But the only other thing is, we haven't quite settled on the target market yet. I'm thinking that we're going for fast growth companies, and I've started researching those in Sussex because they very conveniently post lists of these people, and I've got a researcher working on the contact details to get the marketing people. And the other what people we're thinking of aiming at is doing a wholesale service for ad agencies, because ad agencies and media PR companies are very clued up on what's happening in the world of social media, but actually traditionally pretty bad at it. So we're thinking if we go into ad agencies and target ad agencies on the South Coast to talk to, because we're going to do research first, unlike me normally, where I just barrel in and make a website and start selling. We're actually going to go and talk to some of these people and find out what their pains are and how we can put together packages that will solve those pains.
Yes.
So we're thinking about going to ad agencies, and that would be a different kind of person you'd be speaking to. So it throws up the thing of you've got to get very clear who your avatar is, and then blogging and sharing social media content gets a lot easier when you've got a picture of the person that you're sharing it for.
I agree, but I don't think they're so very different from us. So for instance, some of those people are my friends.
What, in ad agencies?
No, well, in people who. So, for instance, I'll give you an example. My brother is a chairman of a London rugby football club, and he didn't understand at the beginning, when his staff started tweeting and wanted to control everything that was going out for the as it were corporate message. And you do see people in jobs who have a dual function to perform. One where they're tweeting or whatever on behalf of their business, and one where they have their own personal profile, and then they say, the views I express here are my own and nothing to do with my job, or words to that effect. But I think what would be useful for you is to look at your, say, 5 ideal clients, and look at how similar businesses are doing it better. So to have an understanding of say 2 or 3 examples doing it well in the SME sector that you could point to.
Okay.
Because it is possible to find. I see it on Facebook a lot. People who use their Facebook, SMEs that use their Facebook pages very well, get a lot of engagement. They use a lot of nice tricks, like, I know you're technically not allowed to do this, but which of these things do you like best? So Lamy, Lamy, who make beautiful fountain pens, ran a competition recently where you just voted on which colour of fountain pen and matching notebook you like best. And in so doing, you had to join their Facebook page using your log in via Facebook. And now, of course, I'm automatically on their email newsletter list. Well, how subtle was that?
I can see that you voted for pink.
Well, exactly. There you go. Now, look at that little thing they've done. Isn't that good? Go to their Facebook page. Somebody, that's just an example.
This one here, the second one.
I don't know. I haven't looked at their page. I've just done the competition. But I'm saying we should keep an eye out for, Innocent Drinks, any brands that we understand and think, let's go and have a look. And are they using their social media profiles well? And what do you, Nicola, as the queen of this, think constitutes well? So you can show your prospective clients a model or 3 of it working well. And I think as a consumer, it's where they connect with me in the way that is normal in our world. So actually, it's the lofty corporates and the SMEs coming down from that remote perch and playing with us in a way we find engaging.
Okay, so this is interesting. And I would really appreciate if any of our listeners can send me examples of this, corporates who do social media well, because I just tried to click on the thing above. I tried to click on the link in the thing that you had done. Yeah. And it didn't. Oh, hang on a second. Let's see if I can.
I'm not holding that up as a good example. Well, there you go. No. I ended up. Is that why you can't do it anymore? Because the winner's been picked?
No, I'm just trying to find them on Facebook. And when I do a search on Facebook, I see that there's an organisation called Lamy. There is which is just a Facebook organisation. It's not actually theirs. Now I'm looking at their page. This might be it.
Clearly, the thing I clicked on was paid, wasn't it?
Here we go. I found it. Okay. All right. So let's like it and see. I
don't know whether they're doing it well, for instance, because the only relationship I've had with them was entering their competition, and then you've just shown me I didn't win it. Bummer.
Okay. So they're all about design by the looks of it, and they're doing a good in German.
Well, they must be a German brand. But the interesting thing is that there are. I often point my clients at examples. I always suggest they go to pages of brands that they understand. So in my case, it would be Ocado or Land's End. Amazon. I don't know how Amazon do it, but brands you buy from regularly and you're a happy customer of. Go and have a look at their Facebook page. Is it dormant, or are they doing it well? And I notice quite a lot of people that do it well, and I think it's worth keeping an eye out for that. I think it's a very good suggestion. Oh, Joe Malone, there's a good example. It's a very good suggestion what you've just said, which is let's ask on social media for people to tell you.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you got to remember on my Colby score, I'm about a 2 on research. So the thought of actually doing this is making my inside shrivel.
Well, I don't think you have to research it. All you have to do is engage with people on the topic. You're just asking their opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And that will save me doing any research. So I like that.
Yeah, it might do. It might do. That's one of the beauties of social. You see, what I think they all do well when they do it well is visuals.
Yeah. I mean, this is, absolutely. And looking at Joe Malone's, this is an example of someone who, because they're getting comments, they got 40 shares because they did a nice job on it.
I rest my case. You see, and then if you look at it, if you spend 5 minutes there, you'll discover it's not a corporate broadcasting. Somebody in their organisation is doing a good job.
Yeah, that's right. And they're sharing, they're doing events. I mean, I think that's the thing about social media is you have to be doing something to have something to talk about. My
Yeah.
social media manager hates it when we have a client who wants to pay her to do their social media because she has to, finding stuff is very difficult. Phoebe's the same with Instagram. She's actually someone who's a listener on the podcast has asked me if Phoebe might be interested in doing their Instagram for them, and I said to Phoebe, this would be a really great gig because this person is constantly doing things. They're constantly doing events. They're constantly doing stuff online. They're constantly doing hangouts and retreats and all sorts of stuff. So it would be a really nice client because you wouldn't have to make up the content. You wouldn't have to go and find the content. You could just share the content that they're already creating.
Well, two things. In another life, it's a job I would love to do.
What, be a social media manager?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, because I'm awesome at it, naturally.
Yeah, you are. Of course you are, yes.
I love it. I love it. I like creating content. I like curating other people's content. I like sharing it. I like engaging.
Yeah.
I love it. And I would probably have to confine it to Facebook because that's the one I understand best. But that's first thought. Second thought is my newest client who trains VAs, one of the training courses that she sells is to teach people to be social media managers. So if you need a whole stream of them, I know where to find them.
Oh, okay. All right. Very nice. And yes, I mean, the only thing is, obviously, with entrepreneurs, we're very good at doing things for ourselves and when it's going to benefit us specifically, but we're not so good at being paid to do things for other people.
Well, I think you'd have to, if I were a social media manager, I would have to pick my clients very carefully. So, for instance, I've always said that I could sell anything that I love and use. So, for instance, if you said, would you like to be the social media manager for the Dental Estimates Board? No. Would you like to be the social media manager for, I don't know, some product that I absolutely, something to do with cakes or gardening or
Beautiful bed linen.
Yes, exactly. Something you lust after and love and never, books, something to do with books, something to do with gadgets.
Garden offices.
Yeah, anything that you love, it's easy to do it for.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, very true. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to start siphoning off, and in fact I did this when I did the website yesterday. I siphoned off 3 of my most not corporate, but 3 of my articles that would be beneficial to someone working in a big SME. And thought, the things that would be of interest there, because obviously, you've got, and I tidied it up a bit, so it wasn't quite in such a casual, because I have got a very, very, very casual style in writing and grammar and all that stuff, and I did tidy it up a little bit, so it's a little bit more growing up pants. So yeah, I think your idea about doing it once a week would be good, because then there would be, say in a year or two's time, if we did go to sell that part of the business, there would then be 100 items, and there would be some sort of following.
Do you know what? I don't think that's the side of the business you'll be selling. I think that's the one you'll be keeping. And I think the one you'll be selling is the one you've already got. And more importantly, I don't think the voice is as different as you think it is. I think if you just change your sense of self to SMEs as opposed to micro businesses, it's not, so you're not going corporate, you're not going the other end of the spectrum. Just going a bit bigger. I don't think you need to be growing up pants. I never read any of your stuff and think, I know what you mean by casual, but I never read any of your stuff and think, oh, grammar's appalling. I never think that.
You are the grammar.
I am the grammar police. I've actually got very geeky about it of late, but I never think that. So, I think you just need to make one small adjustment in your mind, which is now I'm changing my everything I put out in every function towards SMEs, upgrading it from micro businesses.
And I just had a brilliant idea, because
good.
I'm very drawn to black, white, grey and orange as a colour palette. And as Clicks and Leads is very orange with touches of black and grey, and the new site is very black and grey with tiny touches of orange, we can actually share the same stuff. I can get Inga to share the same stuff, because I've said to her, only use black and white pictures in your quotes and memes. And so we could theoretically post on, but I'm going to get her to do that. Brilliant. That'll keep things going. And I can just then once a week on a Saturday morning choose an article and put something on the blog, and, yeah. Okay, I feel much better about it now. Thank you very much. It was my challenge of the week, obviously.
Well, no, just before we go, let's open it up to the listener, because the point we discussed before we went on air was should an ordinary lister have A, multiple businesses, and B, multiple social media platforms, profiles?
Yeah, I definitely think you should secure the social media platforms, but only use one, unless
I agree.
you've got someone like me, someone like I have Inga, who can do the actual work for you.
And I feel very strongly, present company accepted, that it's generally a mistake to have more than one business.
Yes, I do too. And actually, it is only one business. It's just a different image for a different segment of the marketplace.
Yeah.
Same business,
marvelous.
essentially.
Yeah.
Same team, same offer, whatever. Yeah. Very good. Okay, word of the week then.
I'm going for adventure because I'm on the cusp of an adventure with this selling of the flat and not knowing where I'm going next. And the guy who paid me 250 quid on Pay What You Want was on the cusp of an adventure. And lots of new clients that I speak to are on the cusp of an adventure or a different sort of life. And Marion decided that her word of the year before last was adventure, and that actually all of us, I mean, technically you could be on the cusp of an adventure too. All of us are at all times. And I see more people, maybe it's, I keep talking to a lot of people who are about 50 and their children are grown up and they've got nothing holding them anywhere anymore. And the world is like an enormous sweet shop and they don't know what to choose. Eventually I got this man to realise what he should be doing. And then, I always ask them, if money was no object, what would you do? Well, I'd move to the sea and I'd go surfing every day. Could you do that this weekend? What's stopping you from doing that now? Yes, I suppose I could. We do spend a lot of time sort of faffing about, thinking about living an adventure, but not actually doing it. And I think the time is now and we've got to crack on.
Very nice. I've actually been thinking about going back to poker, which is a bit of
Oh.
Well, it would get me out of the house. There's poker games on every night of the week all over Sussex. And the local one is Wednesday night. And I know that all the boys will be there. Well, a good proportion of them will still be playing there. So
is poker your word of the week, Nicola?
No, it's not. Streamlined is my word of the week.
Okay.
How much I enjoyed working through adding content to this website yesterday, which was so streamlined in its design, it limited me on what I could do, and that was really nice. It was really because I'm throw everything in the baby in the bath, no, that's the wrong expression. I'm a throw everything at it kind of girl, throw everything at the wall and see what sticks kind of girl. But the theme I chose, which was very streamlined, was forced me to pick 3 of some things and 6 of others, and you only got a limited number of words in a space. And I liked the constraint of that. It was a bit like Twitter, the constraint of Twitter. And apparently they've got something coming soon. Anyway, we'll go off topic. But anyway, streamlined. I like being forced into. I'm a creative person, but I like to be forced into restraint.
Well, interestingly, excuse me for a second. Interestingly, I think constraints do help. I think they allow us to be more creative, funnily enough, as was proved by Twitter. Can I ask you what theme you chose?
No.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
Okay.
It was a Studio Press theme, and it was very lovely. I like the Studio Press themes a lot.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, project updates. We've sort of talked about mine quite a lot, but that's it. I've done the new website for the corporate arm of the company.
Just let me have a look at what my... Oh, yes. Now I'm going to talk to you about one of my oldies but goodies. And I know you won't get excited about this, but I'm excited about this. Do you remember my lotto one, my lottery one?
I'm very quiet about that.
Well, I'm not quiet about it, actually. It's trogging along in the background. It is ostensibly a network marketing thing, in as much as if you bring 3 friends, you play for free.
Yeah.
And I like the lottery, and I've played it on and off in my life. I got very upset about it when it launched because I was convinced I was going to win, and it launched in November, and on the December New Year's Eve I got 5 numbers in the order they came, and I thought, oh, this is a big win, and it turned out to be 87 quid, and that put me off. And the thing about lotteries, so the thing that people don't understand, I don't think, so I've said to everybody, I'm in this new lottery and I win every week and it doesn't cost me anything to play. The thing that disappoints people is that actually, even though my lottery is better than the lottery, you are no more likely in a lottery to win the big prize than you are in Camelot, because it's impossible. You know, the odds. Yeah, the odds. So as an example in this one, I know it sounds a bit weird, my cumulative winnings from Tuesday and Friday, where I've played for free since November the 10th, are, it's in euros, but let's pretend it's in pounds, £231.50. Now, that's more than my combined winnings in the lottery over the last 3 decades. Now, but only 35 of it has come from the actual numbers that I chose, so slightly over 10%. But being placed in a syndicate has brought forth $50, and being paid for in blitz tickets for people I introduced is €146. Now, I know this doesn't sound like a lot of money, but I've only got 3 people playing underneath me for free. If I had 33 and then 333, that would be a large sum of money. That would be 33 would be, add a zero, £2,300, and 333 would be £23,000. So I don't have the time, excuse me, I don't have the time to do this, but if I did, it would be mahoosive.
Yeah, see, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I always think of you as a big number kind of girl, but you get quite excited about these things.
Well, it's principle. It's principle, you see, because where we made the mistake, and we learned this in the money gym, is that we never got excited about small sums of money. But small sums of money, particularly in a network marketing concept,
or a continuity program.
Yes, they grow like topsy. And if I could just find the time, and I would do if I'd got nothing else to do, to introduce, the hard thing here is selling people the concept, because they think, if I say to somebody, look, I found a better way of playing the lottery, they automatically think it's going to be easier for them to win the big one. But
yeah.
This isn't, you're not winning the big one. Most of the money comes from bringing in your friends and getting them to understand that it's a better way, because you win most weeks, and growing the team. And nobody likes to do that because we don't like selling and But anyway, the point is the seeds are sown here, and there's an opportunity for me, which unfortunately at the moment I don't have time to do anything about.
Yeah, I remember. Do you remember Jill Fielding used to talk about the small amounts of money, and how, you know, if you get started today with small amounts of money, but everyone's always looking for the big one.
Well, when Jill Fielding was on Secret Millionaire and living in a council flat and wearing an apron and working in a cafe, the programme gave you a £10 a day living allowance that you had to feed yourself and clothe yourself and whatever. And she was squirreling away the change in a sock from that,
Yeah.
which she was investing.
Yeah, no, she's always had an eye on the small detail numbers, and
Yeah.
that is how, you know, by working 2 jobs and one of them being in a bar, so she got a social life as well. I remember, you know, she did buy her first property quite quickly.
Now, before we go off this one, the reason why I'm excited about it this week is I went to a webinar on Monday night, and you heard me say earlier I can't stand webinars.
Yeah.
In which it is run from Malta by a guy who's got nearly as much social media and internet marketing understanding as you, and they're going to use those principles to grow this, and it's like the hare and tortoise, it will eventually take over, because on the other one you're hoping against hope that one day your big number will come up, and on this one you're winning every week and it doesn't cost you anything to play. I mean, it's a no-brainer, but it's hard to persuade people to look at something new. It's easier for them to stick with something that's broken than move over to something that's new and bring 3 friends with them. And they bring 3 friends, they play for free. And playing for free has made more money since November than I've made in 3 decades. What's wrong with this?
So how do you let people know about it? Do you have something on the side of your website or something?
No, but that's what they're launching imminently. That's what I learned on the webinar. They're going to give me a banner. So yes, I will be able to put a banner on my website. I do occasionally share a link. It sends me an email on Wednesday morning and Saturday morning to let me know what the results were on Tuesday night and Friday night. And the last 2 draws I've won, I don't know, €50 or something. I think 15 on one of them, 35 on another. I mean, I never have achieved that on the Camelot lottery. You know, never. Never. That's all I can say. So it's a numbers game, and at the moment I haven't got the groundwork is laid, and they're improving everything, and they're remarketing, and they're going to put on their Facebook page shareable content every day from Monday. It's going to get bigger. That's why I'm excited about it this week.
Oh, so you can then share it on
Yeah.
your social media.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes, with my link on it. Yeah, so they're going to make it easier and easier for us to bring in more and more.
Yeah, and I think that'll make it much more attractive. The whole MLM thing will gradually lose its bad name.
Well, in a way, it's not MLM. It is MLM. If people don't misunderstand that. What this is you're just letting your friends in on a good thing that they already do.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'll watch with interest. Who-
Well, don't expect to see much because I haven't really got time. But there will be a little bit more effort on that front, perhaps.
Yeah. Okay. So, what's impressed then?
Well, I'm excited and impressed by the young and enthusiastic team at the estate agents, Rob, Chelsea, Alex, Ben and Rita. And you sent me a message earlier in the week because we had a laugh because one of the guys that came round might become a client of mine. He asked me in the garden shed, what do you do? This is not one of the estate agents, it's one of the let me remind you, remind myself to tell you something else. Speaking of talking fast, I'm doing it now.
Yeah, you are. Quite exciting.
I was when they come, I moved down the garden shed so that the flat doesn't look overcrowded. And they come down and they introduce themselves. And this musician held out his hand and shook my hand and asked me what I did, and I explained. And he said, "Oh, I'm just starting up my own business." And anyway, he brought his mum and his sister back yesterday for a second viewing. So he and I are quite good mates already. But it's I think I know it's typical for estate agents to be all over a new property like a rash, but clearly there's some kind of very productive competition between them, because it's not just one man bringing them round. It's Alex, Ben and Rita are all trying to bring people round. You know what I mean? They're all trying to sell it to their customers. But this is the thing that I just remembered that's so exciting. They call when they email me to say, can they bring a person round? And when they email me afterwards to tell me what the person thought, they call all of their prospects buyers. Now, think of the psychology of that. They're not prospects, they're not wannabes, they're not tire kickers, they're not lookers, they're not time wasters. They are all called buyers, which I think is what fabulous psychology.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I got it straight away. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very good. Oh, well,
Yeah.
What's the name of the estate agency firm?
It's called Kinley, Folkard and Haywood. They've got 50 branches in London. I think they just focus on London. I don't think they've got branches outside London. There you go. There's another thing to be focusing on, isn't it?
Kinley Estate Agents London.
KFH.co.uk. Kinley, it's Leigh. I don't know that you'll find them like that. Yes.
Google has corrected me.
Yeah.
Estate Agents in London. Oh, here we are. Let's have a look at their website very quickly.
Buying property in London.
Nice and corporate website, usual old thing. But they must have something going on in terms of training and.
Well, I think actually the boss, who was the guy, well, not the boss, but the valuer, the guy that came around the first time to make the sale, as it were, to me, was young. I mentioned him before. Young, high energy, northerner, salesy, and he's dictating the culture in his office.
And they've got a nice blog going on as well, which will give them lots of. Oh, they're on LinkedIn and Twitter. Now, this is just typical. They're on LinkedIn and Twitter, but not on Facebook by the looks of it.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, isn't it, how corporates tend to go for those two. Well, corporates, SMEs tend to go for those two, and they just don't do anything on Facebook.
And also, Veronica pointed out that the details that I shared were not mobile friendly. She couldn't see the pictures of my flat on her iPhone.
Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah. Perhaps estate agents are somewhat a company I should be going for or to talk to.
Well, I think if they've got a chain, Nicola, yes.
Okay, I'm leaving that up to remind me. Very nice, interesting. And yes, you'd be able to find out who the owner is, would you? Easily online? Or can you remember what his name was?
He's not. I don't think he's the owner. I think he's just the most senior employee in their office.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to do a bit of sleuthing then. So if anyone knows the owner of Kinley, Folkard and Haywood, then let us know, because I'd like to talk to him about how they make decisions about which social media platforms they go onto, which would be interesting for me. Cool. Well, I seem to have acquired a representative in the USA, And
Ooh.
she's someone who I met on my recent travels and liked enormously and spent quite a bit of time with. And was similarly impressed by me, apparently, as she says, laughs disparagingly. And then she brought someone to a call with me last week who was actually very, very young and very, very successful in the affiliate marketing space, as was his brother. I mean, we're talking 30 to 50,000 a month kind of successful here. And perhaps even more. I've got no idea. His brother apparently does even better. And so we just talked stuff. I gave lots of tips. He's already running Facebook ads, but he's been told by his mentor he needs to outsource it because it's one of the things that's taking up all his time. And he was just, talking to me on introduction of this other person. And she then came back to me yesterday and said, oh, he was really impressed by what you said and all the tips you gave him. And I'm very convinced he's going to become a client at some point soon. She said, but what we've decided to do together is put on a meetup in Los Angeles for he one of the things he does is Fiverr, the website Fiverr. Fiverr is the thing where you can get things done for $5, but then they offer you lots of upgrades. So they tend to sell, actually at the end of the day, things for $20, $30, $50 to a lot of their people who just go for a Fiverr job. So it's a really growing industry. In fact, one of my other clients is a Brit, a copywriter, and his partner is a radio DJ. They've put together a Fiverr course that's very good as well. So I think we're going to see more of this Fiverr thing, how to make money on Fiverr, that sort of stuff. And anyway, so she and this young chap have put together a meetup, and they say they expect upwards of 100 people coming. And he's going to be talking to them about using Fiverr to get a lot of your work outsourced and how to find good people on Fiverr and things, and she's going to be talking to them about Facebook ads and social media marketing and things like that, and she's repping me at that event.
Ooh, exciting.
I know. I don't have to do a thing. It's brilliant. So that is, and she is very much an old school salesperson. She's not salesy as in like that. She's someone who she's a supporter profile, I think. And they love to go out, they love to network. Everyone knows them. You've had some friends and clients like that who I can think of are this lady's equivalent in the UK. Yeah. And they're out and about. But the one thing they find very difficult is how to monetize their connections and the fact they put people together. So we had a long chat about how she should brand herself as a joint venture broker. And I said, well, if you've got the .com for your name, then that's where we'll put the website. And I was able to get a nice looking website up for her, within a couple of days. And that's sort of my way of showing her that I trust her to do what she says she's going to do, because she's already proving that and I think that goes a long way to impress people. If you do what you say you're going to do, instead of just disappearing, and if you then go and do more than you said you were going to do. So she was going to say, I was going to talk to some local businesses about your services, actually ended up bringing me a really good potential client, and then going into some joint venture to put a meetup on. I'm impressed, Judith, because, that's pretty damn good going. So
I agree. Good.
Yeah. Good episode. Lovely. All nice and upbeat this week, largely. So good luck with your home viewings. I was going to ask you at the time. I suppose estate agents don't let you corral people into certain time frames, do they?
Actually, the buyers dictate when they want to come.
Oh, I see. So you just have to be available at all times, day or night.
Well, if I didn't work at home, they'd have keys.
Yeah, could just let them in.
It looks like Sundays off. I mean, the typical curve with estate agents is that it'll tail off after a while because new properties will come on and they'll be more excited about that. So it may be that I only have to endure it for 2 or 3 weeks. We shall see.
Well, fingers crossed you sell in that time.
Well, quite. Yes, quite.
Mr. Gangster record label was looking quite promising coming back twice, wasn't he?
Well, he was. I'm not sure his mother was that impressed. She seemed overly focused on the wrong things. She insisted on looking at my compost heap, for example.
What?
Which I know. I'm selling a £400,000 compost heap.
Oh, my God, that's so hilarious. Well, let's hope your compost heap swings it for you, and we'll speak next week.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, darling. Bye.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.